Okay, Mayuresh, thanks a lot for that. We'll keep an eye on the metal stocks as well. But Mayuresh Joshi is also with us from Angel Broking. Mayuresh, good morning. In fact, let's start with some stocks. Your thoughts on DLF first. How would you approach that stock now?
Morning, Anuj. Again, I think the news surrounding DLF for a length of time, probably I think that's going to see the light of the day. So again, I think in terms of how the annuity portion gets sold off and the reduction of debt, I think the markets did factor a large portion of this coming through. But again, I think sentimentally positive. So I think the stock will see an uptick probably in today's trade.
Okay. What among the auto sales numbers impressed you at all? Is there anything that would propel you to buy any stock?
Morning, Lata. Largely, again, I think if you look at the auto universe across four-wheelers and two-wheelers, it was a tad bit disappointing, soft and tepid. But largely, again, I think if one really lays out the larger picture over the next few months, and as the economy is getting remonetized, it is a matter of time that the volumes will normalize over the next few weeks and quarters. Having said that, probably among the four-wheeler space, Maruti still appears to be a standout performer for us. The kind of volume degrowth that we saw in the past few years, along with the new launches that Maruti has actually come out with and the response that it has received, Brezza, Baleno, Ciaz, and even its new launch Ignis, I think the response has been phenomenal. With the waiting time and again I think lesser discounts coming on these new models, rather no discounts at all. My own sense is that the volume growth should remain extremely strong for Maruti over the next few quarters. As the new production facility starts producing 2.5 lakh more vehicles, my own sense is that the waiting time also goes down, which effectively means that the bottom line growth should be very, very strong for Maruti. So I think Maruti stands out for me within the four-wheeler space. Within the two-wheeler space, Lata, again, I think if one really leaves aside Q4 being an aberration of sorts in terms of how volumes will pan out, my own sense is with a good winter output, the Rabi harvest has been extremely strong. Hero MotoCorp with a rural focus should start picking up steams in terms of volume growth coming back in the next few quarters. And as that happens, my own sense again is that the realizations should improve. Yes, I think there has been input cost inflation on the raw material side, but I think that can get offsetted as volumes start growing and the pass-through happens. So I think the operating leverage should start playing on the balance sheet as well. So you have to pick and choose. I think Maruti within the four-wheeler space, Hero MotoCorp within the two-wheeler space.
Okay, so the two Delhi boys is what he likes. Fine, we'll do one thing. We'll take a quick break. We are coming back. The opening rates when we come back.
Welcome back. Well, looks like we are in for a good day, at least good start. Whether we have follow through or not, let's see. But at lower levels, again, there's some buying. SGX Nifty went to 8996 at low level, but has again bounced back. VK Sharma is with us from HDFC Securities. Vinod, good morning. You've been bullish on the market, of course. Let's discuss some stocks first. The stock that surged yesterday, Mahindra & Mahindra, your call on that, and also on Infosys.
Yeah. Mahindra & Mahindra, because the results had come during market hours, so I think part of that, the results were good, so part of the action has already been seen. So this is one stock which I would like to buy after cooling a bit. So I'm buying the 1360 call in Mahindra at a price of 27. Mind you, the call closed at 32 rupees, so I'm buying 5 rupees lower, keeping a stop loss at 20 and a target of around 40. In case of Infosys, we have seen mild positions being built, but the stock remains good and it's a buy on our radar. Buy 1040 call at around 20 rupees, stop loss at 14 and a target around 32.
Actually, you're buying calls all over the place, aren't you? Tata Steel as well.
Yeah, there's a bull spread here, but let me just explain my overall bullishness, because the market is going to climb the wall of worries. It has climbed the wall of worry or demonetization. Now the results also. So if at all I have to brace myself for any movement, it has to be on the upside. So I'm not going to buy the puts and calls and confuse myself, rather buy a call on the higher side. So in Tata Steel, what I'm doing, ma'am, is I'm buying the 510 call at around 14 and selling the 540 call at around 5. So my cost comes to 9 and maximum possible profit would be around 21.
Okay, what are your other top conviction buys?
Sun Pharma is another conviction buy, where we have seen positions being built to the extent of 8% in the series, 3% the stock is up, and yesterday was the first movement when the stock has risen, and because of this people have used this to reduce their positions. So I'm buying the 700 call in Sun Pharma at 21, stop loss at 15 and target around 32.
Okay, well, just a word on how the markets have opened. It's a big opening. It's 9,050. That's where the index stands. Rupees absolutely flat. Nothing much over there, despite the strength in the dollar. Not much weakness in the rupee. But look at the way the Nifty is surging. We can't jump into any conclusions because everything is standing at 10% higher. You know, Axis Bank, Tata Motors. So not worth reading these rates. Let's see where they settle. The Sensex is nowhere near this kind of opening. So we perhaps just wait by. I mean, maybe you want to pull up DLF because the news got confirmed later on in the day, and we also heard that there could be a QIP. So DLF, okay, another 2% higher.
Wockhardt is opening 10% lower. I mean, of course, it will correct. Should not be a 10% downtick, but I mean, this really is going to be an interesting stock because you have now even the other facility getting the USFP warning.
Facility.
Yeah.
The last of the facilities where they could supply to the US.
So this really has been phenomenal. Dollar, rupee, rupee has been strong, of course. That is continuing, and despite the dollar index actually going to 102. So in that case, you'll have to say that it's been a remarkably strong currency, and 66, 76 now on the rupee. But as Lata said, let's wait for some more time before we get some kind of clarity on pre-open.
I would just worry it would be a Dutch disease if the rupee got too strong. See, the guys who are doing well are the exporters. Yes. So one shouldn't be too happy about the rupee strength. That is, I wouldn't be. But anyway, it's not causing so much of economic trouble just yet. Mayuresh, any other of these troubled stocks that is interesting you, the JP groups or stocks that seem to be coming out of trouble?
Not really, not at this point of time, Lata. But again, I think what I like at this point of time would be selective NBFCs. So Equitas, for example, it's got a very strong book, being a small payment bank. Obviously, I think the benefits do come when it comes to the priorities sector lending portfolio. Again, I think the conversion to CRR, SLR norms would have its yield on assets actually come down. But it's also equally adaptable to borrowing costs, because I think the deposits that will be able to garner will get costs down. Secondly, I think even in terms of its core spreads, the core spreads should get maintained in my opinion, and that should probably entail ROAs of 2.8%, ROEs of 11.5%, 11.8% being maintained, NIMs of 11.5% being maintained. So we're expecting very strong growth on the loan and the earnings front, and a price to adjusted book of 1.8 times. Any decline looks attractive. The other stock probably, Lata, that I want to discuss also Blue Star. I think we've spoken about this a lot in the past, but what has really happened within the industry itself is that the kind of market share gains that Blue Star has done, specifically in the room air conditioning market, is close to 10.5%, 11%. Its cool package product division is doing exceptionally well, and the split AC division is actually performing along with their window ACs of around 47-48% of contribution. So we're expecting a very strong top line growth of 16% happening on that front. Margins to reach 7.2-7.3%, and though demonetization might affect in Q3 or part in Q4, my own sense is that the earnings growth can be phenomenal, and along with the cash that is received for Blue Star Infotech, I think the earnings growth can be equally strong on the bottom.
Okay, well, Tata Motors is interesting because very high volumes, 4% higher is what we have on Tata Motors. So that stock is looking quite good right now. And apart from that, the DVR as well is up 1.7%. So Tata Motors and the DVR interesting. Let's pull out the intraday, not the 1 month chart. Also, see Infosys as well. That stock is down 1% currency strength. Bajaj Auto's total sales at 2.7 lakh units.
Okay, I don't have the comparables just yet, but we have to see. Mayuresh, you want to react to that? Bajaj Auto numbers at 2.7 lakh, the monthly number?
Look, I think the pain might sustain for some length of time. You've probably seen that happen with the export markets for Bajaj Auto and the kind of concerns that it probably had in terms of the conversion of the dollar assets, specifically on the export front. And largely, again, I think the tepidness in numbers should largely continue. I think the quarter 3 numbers in terms of margin performance was extremely encouraging for Bajaj Auto. But as I said earlier, I think I'll wait for declines. But within the space itself, I think Hero MotoCorp stands out, and again I think Eicher Motors, that's a clear hold for me, because Royal Enfield numbers are doing exceptionally well. What it has done on the CV part of the business in terms of margins was exemplary as well, and if one really expects the discounting factor to slowly start receding, and along with the BS4 norms coming through, pre-buying coming through specifically in the kind of tonnage that it operates out of, my own sense is that the volume should hold up. A clear disclaimer, we might be holding these stocks in our funds.
Okay, well, Ashwini, looks like we could have a start around that all-time, the 52-week high of 8982, 8986 now on pre-open, 8985 as we speak. You would contend that risk reward will not be favorable for a fresh long if we open right at that mark?
See, the open is determined by what kind of strong institutional buying is visible. And if it is 15 points higher or not a strong opening, that means big buyers are not coming in early in the morning. That being the case, then it becomes difficult for follow through to come in, because follow through comes in once the big buying starts at the open and continues thereabouts. So this 9,020 band is very important. If we get follow through beyond this, you will probably see a good day. If not, and if selling starts to resume, I think with a lot of long positions in the market, if we start breaking 89.80, there'll be trouble soon.
Okay, well, I've just got some comparable numbers for Bajaj Auto. The expectation was 2.65 lakh from Nomura. It looks like they have done better than that at 2.73. I think other one was Motilal Oswal, which had a expectation of 2.6, 2.59. So either way, it looks like the Bajaj Auto numbers are better than what the couple of street estimates we have. So perhaps that stock also should be opening.
Oh yes, and that will be interesting, because Bajaj Auto has been a bit of an underperformer. So in that sense, it will be interesting to see what happens to Bajaj Auto. It's still 10% off its previous high. This month, this year is up only about 6% compared to some of the others which have done relatively better. So that's a stock to watch out for. Mitesh, any chart check on Bajaj Auto?
See, we in fact, were looking at some kind of a decline. If the stock was to remain below 2750, it's managed to bounce back exactly from those levels. I think it's still doing a range of about 2830 to about 2750, and I think once we either get past 2830 or get below 2750, we'll get some kind of a directional trade.
Yeah, though it does look like they still have pain both in the domestic. Okay, exports have done well. Perhaps that's why the overall numbers are looking much better. Exports are up 22% year on year for Bajaj Auto. That's about over 1 lakh units that they have sold for February. Domestic is still down compared to year ago levels, but an improvement over Jan levels.
For Bajaj, exports is the main story.
So the fact that
the fact that exports have done well, I think the market actually should like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Not actively traded in pre-open, so you can't make much out of that. But let's see how the stock opens. But the pre-open rates have now settled, and I tell you something, it looks like we'll have the start right at that 52-week
Exactly.
high. 89.82 is the 52-week high, and we'll have start there. Wockhardt has settled with 4% losses, so that's an interesting stock to watch out for in trade. Tata Motors has settled with 2% gains, so market reacting to the JLR number, the US sales numbers clearly. That stock is also interesting. ICICI Bank up about 1%, Sun Pharma up about close to 3/4 of 1%, and on the way down, not too many. Coal India down about 0.5%, and Infosys with a bit of a soft start. Sudarshan, so what kind of dip would you wait for if we have an open at 89.82?
Well, the first part of that question's answer is that traders should already be having long positions. If you don't have a long position, I think you can as well. This open below 9,000 to me is a dip. So you at least maintain part of that position now itself.
All right, I like that. Open below 9,000 according to you is a dip, and that should also be bought. Is there anything specific in the banking space? Yesterday that also led from the front, Sudarshan. The index itself or any of the specific banks, especially ICICI, which saw such good delivery-based buying.
Well, I spoke about HDFC Bank in the morning, and ICICI is also part of that list. So you could really buy any one of them.
Okay. Vinod, you have also a private bank, but it's Kotak.
Yeah, it is there, and we've seen some position being built yesterday, although for the series I think positions have been cut. So I'm buying the 840 call at around 14 in Kotak, keeping a stop loss at 8 and a target around 25.
Okay. Sudarshan, any of the metal stocks?
Yeah, I discussed Vedant in the morning again.
Yeah. So Tata
That's
Steel?
the favorite.
Okay, not...
No, I wouldn't go for steel at all, nothing.
Okay, well, fair enough. This is not a stock we normally discuss, Ashwini, but Tata Tele obviously is in the grip of an expectation of merger after that NTT Docomo news. What is your, is there a trade?
I think tea and coffee is doing much better than, this telecom stocks.
Okay.
So Tata, Global, McLeod Russell are probably better stocks to look at.
Fair point. Let me just quickly go through the auto ancillaries as well. Anything on your radar?
Yeah, Motherson Sumi is the stock which has moved up yesterday. It added 3% price wise and 4% in terms of OI, and that is all it has done in the series. So since the beginning, what I'm doing is I'm constructing a bull spread here, buying the 370 call and selling the 390 call. So I pay rupees 11 and I get 5, my cost comes to 6, and maximum possible profit here will be around 14 rupees in this.
Okay. Mitesh, the finance stocks, if I remember right, one of you did not like Shriram Transport much, but what about Capital First, Bajaj Finance, the other NBFCs?
See, I think Bajaj Finance still is showing signs of an uptrend. Slightly overbought, so I would want to adopt a buy on dips kind of strategy over here. I think that's the favorite in this category. Anything close to about 1050 would give you a good trading bet. Keep it still below 1035, and I think we should see a retest of 1100 plus levels.
Okay. Ashwini, among some of your recent favorite names, you have RBL, Bajaj Finserv, ICICI Prudential. What is the strategy in some of these names?
See, some stocks will continue with their bull market regardless of what the other stocks are doing. And these stocks, once you have in your portfolio or you hold them, just continue to hold because they are at new highs. There is very little selling once something is making new highs every day.
Okay, and finally, I think before we come to your 914 call, BHEL saw that spectacular move and continued with it yesterday. And the other stock on my radar, Yes Bank. Ashwini.
See, BHEL has come out of that 150, 155 zone where it used to stutter earlier. But I think now we could see probably 185, 190 also coming in BHEL. And Yes Bank is probably from the large banks the outperformer. And we could see 1550, 1600 coming on Yes Bank in case the market again breaks out to fresh highs.
Okay. Ashwini, your call on Bajaj Auto and also your 914 call.
Well, Bajaj Auto, Hero Moto, auto space hasn't really participated in the last, couple of hundred points on the Nifty. So basically, still kind of sideways between say 2520 to about 3100. You buy closer to 2500. As far as 914 is called, India Bull Real Estate is that call, and that is a buy with a stops. Buy with a stop at about 80 to look for targets of 92.
Okay, fair enough. We still have about half a minute. The future group of stocks were fairly active. Did you notice any trade, Sudarshan, in that set?
Well, no. I think it's best to be avoided now at this point.
Fair enough. Actually, we'll avoid questions as well at this point because we just have about 20 seconds. And it looks like we are going to start at 8982. That's a number to be celebrated. It is a prevailing 52-week high. And perhaps we could get there. The points away from 9,000. That's an interesting graph. We're just about 17.5 points, or only 17 points away from that magical number 9,000. We haven't seen that in 2 years almost. So that would be okay, that's the market opening, and it is 8982, 8984. So some celebratory bells at least. A fresh all-time high on the Nifty, 8986 as I speak. It's 0.5% higher, and that's not a small amount. I mean, 0.5% after the market charged yesterday and has been doing reasonably well for the past several days. Sensex as well up 150. That's 0.5% higher for the Sensex, 29,130 on that index. Bank Nifty, actually they're all just as charging with the same trend, as it were, measuring the same trend. Bank Nifty up about 0.5%. That 20,888, so not quite made to 20,900 just yet. The Nifty still keeping at a fresh 52-week high of 8985, 14 short or 15 short of the 9,000 mark. Okay, so what's taking the Nifty up today? Tata Motors DVR is up 1.6, Hindalco 1.6, ICICI 1.2, GAIL 1.2, Tata Motors, the big stock, as well as up 1%, BHEL. So actually the top 5 gainers are of different sectors. There is one Hindalco, one metal stock, there is ICICI, there is GAIL, and there is the Tata Motors twins, and Axis Bank as well. So 2 banking stocks up there, 0.5% higher. Then comes Bajaj Auto up 1%. Clearly the market likes the February numbers. BHEL continues with the rally, and that's up 1% now. Adani Ports, Asian Paints, Bharti Infratel, Eicher Motors, HUL, BPCL, Ultratech Cement, all up about 0.75%. In fact, there's not much to read in the red list at all. Nothing. There's only Dr. Reddy's, which is down 1.3. So 49 out of 50 for the Nifty.
Oh yes, in the mid-cap side, Wockhardt is actually starting with 5% downtick. So that's an active stock. Wanted to read that first. Tata Tele Maharashtra is up about close to 7%. After that, you have a couple of other names like Rico Auto, which is up 5%. Intellect Design is up 4%. Rain Industries up 2.5%. GSL Stainless up 2.5%. Tell you something, metals are having a good start. Hindalco, Nalco, Vedanta, all of them are up about 1.5%, and as we speak we are at 89.83. Nifty futures have hit 9,000. Ashwini, your thoughts on market opening?
It's a nothing 30-point style opening. At new highs you need much more flourish to take higher levels out. So I would hold on and see if we are able to cross 9,000. Otherwise, today could be an anti-climax style day where, along with global markets, we could also, after opening higher, maybe retrace through the day. So I don't think this opening is very impressive.
Okay. Still, for the records, it's an 8982 closing that has 8982 figure that has been crossed. So it is a fresh 52-week high, and it has not been a flash in the pan. At least it has prevailed for the first 3 minutes. Vinod?
Another thing that I'd like to point, Lata, at this point of time is that both the Sensex and the Nifty have, if you draw a trend line from the March 2015 highs and the September 2016 highs, that trend line has been crossed yesterday itself. Okay. And today is further build up on that. So I'm not going to look at, But what I can say is that if you want to build positions ahead of the elections, then just before the polls are out, before September on the 8th, on the 8th itself, I think one should buy the call 9,200 rather than taking a preventive position.
Okay. Yeah, well, I guess the market is now in the mood that irrespective of what the election results are, there is such a wall of money coming in that the dip may as well be used only to add to positions, as you are saying. The other stock that's doing well in the mid-cap space today is Jubilant Food. That stock is up about 3%. Mitesh, you want to take a jab at that?
See, the stock, in fact, last few days was doing a range. It's just breaking out. So I think I would be a buyer here from a trading point of view. Keep a stop at 1,015 and look for targets close to about 1,080.
Anything else that has come into your focus area?
Not yet. I think I'm still scanning stocks.
Okay. Well, there are the advanced declines is quite firmly in favor of the advances. It's about 4.5 stocks gaining for one stock losing. So, well, actually, 80%, 90% of the market is higher than where we left it yesterday.
Yeah. Just want to point out, let's pull out Hindalco and Nalco again, because you know what, this report on wires saying that China has ordered curbs on steel and aluminium production to cut pollution, and that's why global metals, aluminium stocks actually are surging. Stocks like BHP, Rio in global markets, some of them are up anywhere between 3.5% to 10%. So that's why some of these stocks are quite active. Ashwini, any thoughts on Hindalco in particular, which has been one of your favorite stocks?
Well, it has started a fresh rally yesterday. So, see, metals will perform in line with the globe and probably will outperform the domestic stocks. So, Hindalco, Vedanta, all of these stocks should be in your portfolio and possibly will outperform. Hindalco can easily get up to 215, 220.
Okay. That's important. Mayuresh, are you all buying any of the metal stocks still?
So again, Lata, I think we discussed this last week. I think Hindalco is something that I will continue to prefer. I think with the news that Anuj was just mentioning, I think it does create an impetus to the stock. But with the expectations of Novelis generating free cash flows of almost $350 million, they've refinanced debt of $1.8 billion, along with the 2.5 that they'd already done. So there is a huge annualized interest cost saving on that front. The capex is almost around $250 million odd. And though you're probably seeing headwinds in the beverage business, the auto lines, as per the management con call, will get commissioned at the latter half of FY18. So the 25% product mix from auto lines in the Novelis product mix is going to be an encouraging sign. Secondly, the Indian business itself is on a very, very strong footing, with LME realizations remaining strong, both for aluminium as well as alumina. And again, I think the access that they've got for captive coal and bauxite mines, the cost rationalization benefits should be pretty large. So on a consolidated basis, my own sense is that the earnings should see a very strong uptick. So Hindalco is something that I'll continue to remain positive.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to complete the report that Anuj was reading. It will mean a 9% fall in aluminium output for China. Sorry, a 5% loss in the country's aluminium production, 9% in alumina. And so Nalco is the one that perhaps will benefit more because it has both alumina and aluminum.
Yes.
So that will benefit a little more than Hindalco, which has, of course, which sells only aluminum, the finished aluminum. And there is only a 3% cut in steel output. China is a huge producer of steel, almost over 1 billion in capacity, even if they are producing perhaps between 750 and 800 million. So 3% of that is not a small amount. Nevertheless, that is 3%. The bigger gains are coming for aluminum plus alumina, and therefore Nalco is the stock that will perhaps benefit more if this report is what it is saying it is.
Yeah. One more stock actually. Glenmark, I think. Let's pull out the intraday chart of Glenmark. They have just announced a partnership with Avestra for generic Nuvaring, and this Merck registered sales of $768 million in 2016 for this particular drug. So this looks like a big drug that Glenmark has just made announcement. So that's also an interesting stock.
We'll get Ekta to analyze this news for us. But let's shift. Let's thank our tech gurus and Mayuresh for joining in and taking us through the pre-market. We'll touch base with you all later on in the day. For the moment, I think it is that fresh 52-week high that we need to celebrate. And I think who better to talk about about the markets than Madhu Kela, veteran investor. Here's our corporate editor Varinder Bansal conversing with Madhu Kela, the chief investment strategist at Reliance Capital, to tell us about how it feels with the markets at fresh 52-week highs.